Hi everybody, it's me, Morgan, and I'm going to be discussing Bt corn. Bt corn contains a gene from the soil bacteria, I'm going to butcher this, Bacillus thuringiensis. It contains the very selective Bt delta endotoxin. The Bt delta endotoxin kills, I'm going to butcher this too, Lepidoptera larvae, which are caterpillars. It's generally harmless to other orders like beetles, flies, bees, and wasps. However, that's not always the case. How does the plant work? Well, the gene is plucked from the bacteria and inserted with a promoter sequence. Most generally, the promoter sequence can cause the protein to only be present in certain parts of the plant or only be active during certain times. But how does this work with the European corn borer? Well, the European corn borer ingests part of the plant with the Bt toxin. The Bt endotoxin binds to the stomach wall, and within hours the stomach wall breaks down and the gut bacteria invade the body cavity. Death is followed quickly after by septicemia as the bacteria multiply and spread throughout the blood. But how could this be bad? Well, butterfly larvae have inadvertently started to ingest the pollen that has been spread either by the wind or by other insects onto the butterfly larvae's normal food sources, and this leads to their death. Other insects, predators, have begun to have a buildup. Normally these predators are vertebrates that eat these insects. They haven't done enough studies for this to be conclusive, but they have found that vertebrates that ingest a lot of insects that eat a lot of the Bt corn have a buildup in their body. So they will be doing more studies on that soon, hopefully. Another bad thing from this is the increased stalk strength. Initially, I didn't think that this would be an issue, but it does decrease the livestock's preference of it. It does slow decomposition, and in some cases, the damage is strong enough to actually, the stalks are strong enough to damage tractors. So why is it good? The use of the Bt corn has reduced the need for broad-spectrum insecticides. The use of broad-spectrum insecticides isn't terrible to begin with, but it does decrease the amount of runoff and absorption into the soil. And it also has started to benefit others. A 14-year study has concluded, and it shows that farmers who did not plant Bt corn but had neighbors who used Bt corn had fewer European corn borers. So the use of Bt corn is starting to decrease the amount of corn borers in population. So that could be both a blessing and a curse. Next, I'm going to show you a video. It's by Dr. Michael Greger. He is a medical doctor, and he's discussing Bt corn. He starts discussing Bt corn a little ways in, so I'm going to find it so you don't have to listen to the full 4-minute video. Okay, there you go. Enjoy.
This study was purported to confirm DNA from genetically modified crops can be transferred into humans who eat them, but that's not what the study found, just that plant DNA in general may be found in the human bloodstream with no stipulations of harm. This study, however, did find a GMO crop protein in people detected in 93% of blood samples of pregnant women, 80% of umbilical cord blood, and 69% of samples from non-pregnant women. The toxin they're talking about is an insecticidal protein produced by Bt bacteria, whose gene was inserted in the corn's DNA to create so-called Bt corn, which has been incorporated into animal feed. If it's mainly an animal feed, how did it get into the women? They suggested maybe through exposure to contaminated meat. Of course, why get GMOs secondhand when you can get them directly? The next great frontier is transgenic farm animals. A genetically modified salmon was first to fly for a spot at the dinner table. And then in 2010, transgenic cows, sheep, goats, and pigs were created, genetically modified for increased muscle mass. Frankenfurters, one might say, based off the so-called Mighty Mouse model. But back to children of the corn and their mothers. When they say it's a toxin to corn worms, not necessarily to people. In fact, I couldn't find any data linking Bt toxin to human harm, which is a good thing since it's considered one of the few pesticides considered so non-toxic it is sprayed on organic fruits and vegetables.
So I think that pretty much sums up whether Bt corn is good or bad. I think that Bt corn is good, and it has many good functions, and there's no reason to decrease it. They do require that at least 20% of the corn planted on a person's field or land is not Bt, and they have begun to sell seed packages pretty much of the Bt corn mixed in with not Bt corn, and this will be good to just add some variation. The only thing left is my sources, so thank you for listening, and I hope you are a little bit smarter about Bt corn.